Hello and welcome to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. My name is Issachar Bey, and I want to welcome you to our program for today. I want to thank all of you who are listening in. If this is your first time, please let us know in the chat what city, what state, what country you're listening in from. If this is your first time, we ask that you help us out by hitting the like button so that you can help us to raise the algorithm. We also ask, if you haven't done so, to go ahead and subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified of great content like this and also be notified of other things to come. We also want to thank all of you for your constant support, your consistency, that meeting us here every week, same place, same time. Also sharing us to your family and friends who you feel may be beneficial by this information, by this knowledge that's being displayed every week. And so we want to thank all of you for being a part of that. This year is flying. We are already in May, and it just seems like it was January yesterday, and which means that we're almost at the half mark of the year. And if you blink, we'll be in December. In this proportionary space of time, it's very important that we utilize our time wisely, that we are not out here just going with the flow, but that we're implementing, that we're manifesting, that we're putting things in perspective, that we're creating the life that we want to live, that we're carving out the experiences that we want to embrace, and that we are putting those in that perspective. So I want to put you in a perspective, everybody who's listening, to look at where you are now and where you want to be by the December of this year. What are some of the things you want to accomplish? Those of you that have been following with us, you went through the vision board mastery. So I know a lot of you are working on your vision boards. A lot of you are manifesting and putting things in perspective. And then also I want to move you guys to, we just went over the 8 pillars of success. And so we are standing on those 8 pillars that will help us to maintain success, endure success, live success, and become success. And so it's imperative that we embrace that as well. And then I also want to look at from a different perspective of now we're getting into this season of our lives where I'm moving with spirit, and spirit is giving me some very important directions on how to move. And so I've been getting a lot of feedback. You guys are loving these new topics that we are covering. I believe we have another great one today. I hope that it's impactful. It is my intent that all the content that we have, that is impactful, that it's knowledgeable, that it brings you great wisdom, great knowledge, great understanding, but also that it gives you the motivation and the inspiration to, after listening, after taking heed and listening, that you apply these principles, you apply these precepts, these concepts, and you apply them to your life so that you can get the end result that you want. I believe when people ask me, hey, I listen to your channel and, the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, and you guys have a great organization. What I want to know from you is, what is your main goal? What is your main thing that you want to be known by? And I always answer and say this. I want people to say, when they hear the name, the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, I want them to say, hey, over there, they teach you how to become the best version of yourself. They assist you, they guide you, they walk with you, they teach you how to become the best version of yourself. And if you can do that and become the best version of yourself, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You only get out of life what you become. So if you become the best version, you attract the best. You live the best. You experience the best. So the only thing we do here, ladies and gentlemen, is show you how to turn on your magnetism powers so that you can start bringing in and magnetizing pulling in and attracting the things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that you want to be, do, see, and have in this lifetime. And you can only do that by what you become, which is the best version of yourself. And so today we have another great topic that I want to get into. I think that it's going to be very important for us in this day and time. I feel that all these messages are so right on time. So many people are reaching out like, oh, man, I really needed to hear that. I had somebody reach out to us who was in Chicago and St. Louis, and they were reaching out about last week's topic and letting us know how much it motivated them and inspired them. And they also said that it was a lot that I gave. And that's why I do that, because I want you guys to go back over this and listen periodically over the week. Begin to take notes, write things down, go back over it. Why? Because these are the concepts and the precepts, the little golden nuggets that you get that you can utilize and apply to your life that will, in the end result, allow you to become the best version of yourself. And so with that being said, let's get in a quiet position as we get ready to go into our mind treatment. Issachar, why do you do the mind treatment every Sunday? Why do you do this? Is because I feel that it's a place for us to get into a nice, quiet setting where we can remove all the chaos, all the noise, all the outside chatter, all the outside noise and distraction. And we can now tap into source, into inwardly, and begin to quiet ourselves down and begin to be in a still place, because that's where we can now be attentive to hear with our spiritual ears and see with our spiritual eyes and begin to take this information in at a higher level of consciousness than we normally would. So that's why we do the spiritual mind treatment in the beginning, because it actually elevates us and allows us to receive this information. And so as you get in your quiet position and as you go ahead and you take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Once again, take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Again, take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. I turn within to the indwelling presence, the changeless, timeless, infinite spirit that is the source of all wisdom, clarity, and peace. This divine intelligence is not swayed by emotion, nor moved by impulse, and not ruled by fear. It is steady, eternal, and sure. And I declare that this same presence lives within me as the unshakable center of my being. I affirm now that I am governed not by fleeting emotions, but by the wisdom of spirit within. I recognize that feelings are visitors, messengers passing through my awareness, but they are not the architects of my destiny. I no longer make permanent decisions for temporary places. I pause, I breathe, I listen to the still small voice that knows all, sees all, and guides without fail. I release the need to act out of anxiety, frustration, hurt, or haste. I refuse to build my life on the emotional reactions. I trust in divine timing and inner wisdom. I choose to respond rather than react. I wait for the clarity that comes from alignment with truth. I give thanks for the power to choose from my highest self. I am not bound by my past decisions or monetary feelings. I am free to wait for clarity, to act from peace and to live in alignment with the eternal, not the temporary. I release this word into the law, knowing that I am guided rightly, led wisely, and held securely in the mind of God. My life unfolds from the place of inner knowing, and I trust that all is working together for my good. And so it is, and so it is. I want to talk about a subject today that's, to me, very, very important. I've seen so many things happen just over the years, even in this year, that pretty much this message should have been heard. So many people needed to hear this message. And the title of the message for today, ladies and gentlemen, is Never Make Permanent Decisions on Temporary Feelings. You know how many people are in jail right now because of this? Do you know how many people are in the graveyard because they made permanent decisions on temporary feelings? You know how many people have injured themselves, have hurt their families, their loved ones, have lost their jobs, all because of this right here. Feelings are like the weather. They move, they shift, they pass. But decisions are concrete. Decisions build or break the future. I want to go, if I can today, step by step of how you master your emotions, how to protect your destiny, and how to align your life with eternal vision and eternal wisdom rather than monetary emotions. Feelings are electrical storms in your consciousness. They are and prophetic. They reflect where you are mentally and energetically in a moment, not the full truth of who you are or where you are going. And so when you understand that your emotions are, yes, they reflect where you are mentally and energetically, but keep in mind that that's only for that particular moment. That does not spell out who you are, and it does not let you know where you're going. So even when we teach here at the Temple of Enlightenment, we always teach everybody that your thoughts are feeling. Your thoughts connected with your feelings will give you manifestation, right? We tell you the teachings of Neville Goddard, who is a great metaphysician. One of my favorite books of his is Resurrection. Neville teaches something like this. Imagine if everybody here, you won $1 million in the lotto. How would you feel? And some of you would know exactly how you felt if you won $1 million in the lotto. What he tells you to do is hold that feeling. Hold on to it as if it's real. And he teaches that the longer you hold on to it, the universe now believes that this particular thing is real, and it now creates the alignment, the equilateral disposition of that. And what happens is it creates the opportunity to happen. That's what happens with feeling, right? I'm just giving you an example. We're not going that way today, but I just wanted to give you an example of that feelings are indeed powerful. But in this regard, we're talking about how people don't think. They just go by their emotions from 0 to 30, and you can be in jail for the rest of your life for something that you allowed to happen, take control of you emotionally, and you made a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. Emotions have momentum, they build on themselves. A unprocessed feeling becomes a runaway train. A unprocessed feeling becomes a runaway train. When we allow our emotions to take the best of us, sometimes we don't think. We go by our emotions. And our emotions at that moment are unprocessed. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, that's where that runaway train comes in. You must catch the feeling early, or you will ride into the reckless choices. Yeah, you got to be able to have control over these emotions and not allow yourself to get on that reckless train because you were unable to process those feelings. Your emotions are energetic invitations, not spiritual commands. Your feelings are energetic invitations. Now, if you hear what I just said, that coincides with what I just said earlier. Neville is teaching us that, hey, what happened one day if you won the lotto and you won $1 million and you say to yourself, oh man, I know that feeling. Neville is telling you to hold on to that feeling, and that the more you hold on to that feeling, that energetic feeling, remember, that becomes a energetic invitation. So that feeling of winning the lotto, once you hold on to that feeling, you are now building that energetic invitation to the universe to say, hey, I won $1 million. The longer you hold on to it, the longer you build that energetic invitation, the more it becomes a real reality in your life. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, that's not what we're focused on here. What we're talking about as far as holding on to your feelings and beginning to manifest on them, that's how you control your emotions. But I also wanted to show you that there's power in the feelings and in the emotion. It's a very powerful thing. But when you move on those emotions without thinking, without coming to grips on what exactly am I doing, and I'm just going off the cuff of what people told me, what I've seen on TikTok, what I've seen on the news, and you're not really understanding what you're doing, and the thoughts, your feelings are unprocessed, you're putting yourself on a runaway train that will bring chaos and destruction. When you treat a feeling as final, you submit your infinite destiny to a temporary vibration. When you treat your feeling as final, you submit your infinite destiny to a temporary vibration, because you allowed your emotions to cause you to do something that's very detrimental. Very detrimental. Emotions have momentum, and that momentum builds on itself. Some people you hear say all the time, you know what, I do apologize. I was a little emotional. I got a little too emotional, and I said some things that I shouldn't have said, or I did some things that I shouldn't have done. I allow my emotions to get the best of me. We've heard that before, right? I've allowed my emotions to get the best of me, when in reality, those emotions were unprocessed. So you jumped on the runaway train and caused so much chaos and destruction because you allowed those emotions to get the best of you. Impulse is expensive. Every permanent decision, relationship, career, personal vow, has a chain reaction. Every permanent decision has a chain reaction. Deciding from anger, fear, loneliness, or euphoria locks you into agreements you might spend years trying to untangle. Let me say that again if you're listening. Making decisions and deciding from anger, fear, loneliness, euphoria, will lock you into an agreement that might spend years trying to untangle. Quitting, and I'll give you some examples. Quitting your job because you had a bad day. So you had a bad day. Somebody said something to you on the job. You let your emotions get the best of you. You cursed out your boss. You cussed out your coworkers. So now you lost your job. You got bills to pay. You got kids to take care of. You got a household to maintain. But you allowed your emotions to get the best of you. Ending a marriage because of an argument. You and your spouse had an argument. You get upset. You allow your emotions to get the best of you. And you tell your spouse, I'm done. I don't have nothing to do with this no more. I want a divorce. It's over with. You allow those unprocessed emotions to put you on that reckless train. Deciding that you'll never trust anybody again after you've been betrayed. So now you go through life, and now you have this ideology that you can't trust anybody because somebody hurt you. So now for you telling yourself for the rest of your life, you're never going to let anybody close to you. You're never going to get in any kind of serious relationship because you've been betrayed. And so what you have to understand is that you have to learn how to grow from that, how to learn from that, how to take those wounds and turn them into wisdom. But we don't allow our emotions to dictate to us how to make those decisions. Because for you to say, I'll never trust anybody again because you've been betrayed and hurt, you're making a permanent decision on a temporary feeling, the temporary feeling of betrayal. And yes, betrayal hurts. Yes, it hurts you. It can break you. It can do all of those things. But there's also a healing that can take place. There's also a overcoming that. And I've always said this, what does not kill you can only make you stronger. The universe responds not to your emotion, but to your decisions backed by vibration. The universe does not respond to your emotions. The universe responds to your decisions backed by your vibration. Let me take it back to the lottery ticket again. When you are holding on to that feeling that I won the lotto, and you hold on to that feeling, what happens is the more you hold on to that feeling, the momentum builds, the emotion builds the momentum, right? But what happens is it's an energetic invitation. The longer you hold on to it, the more your energetic levels rise. The more, and guess what happens? The more that your energetic invitation arrives and goes out, the more you begin to vibrate. And what happens is you're no longer holding on to the feeling. You have now become the feeling. So when that takes place and shifts into effect, you're now at the point now where you have basically made a decision, and that decision is now backed by the vibration. When you decide wrongly, and the universe will deliver experiences aligned with your temporary storm instead of your eternal calling. That's why you can't make the permanent decision. And so we see so many situations and circumstances in our life where people didn't think. If I would have just sat there for 30 seconds and thought about this before I did it, I would not be in this position that I'm in now. Some of us have been messed up for years over one emotional wrong that we did. We let our emotions get the best of us. And some of us have gone to jail. Some of us have lost everything. Some of us maybe have lost our children to the state. They had the CPS. All kind of stuff could have happened based on a temporary feeling. I wanted to talk about this today because it's very important that we master this. In order to become the best version of yourself, you have to be able to master your emotions. We have to be masters of our emotions. We cannot let our emotions get the best of us. We see so many things happening on social media, on TikTok and all these other places, and just seeing all of these things that take place where people's emotions are taking the best of them. We're living in a society now where people don't even think anymore. We just react. Whatever happens, we just go off the cuff. We don't think for a few minutes or a few seconds and say, let me unprocess this first. We don't realize that for every action, there is a reaction. And so with that being said, then it brings us back now to a place where we have to look at that. We have to look at the recompense here of being able to not allow that to happen. Vibration, frequency, and manifestation. When we talk about the frequency of your feelings, we talk about this. Fear lowers your vibration. Love elevates your vibration. Peace vibrates it. Fear lowers it. Love elevates it. Peace vibrates it. Decisions made at a low vibration reproduce low vibrational outcomes. As a man soweth in his heart, so is he. For every action, there's a reaction. So when you make a decision with a low vibrational standpoint, the outcome will be equal to that action, which will in turn be a low vibrational outcome. It's imperative that we learn how to measure before we move. Before deciding, pause and ask. We got to ask ourselves some questions. What is my correct vibrational state? What is my correct vibrational state? I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm mad. You know, when I was little, my mother used to whip me. Yeah, I used to get beatings all the time. But my mother used to say, you know what, I'm not going to beat you right now because I'm angry. So let me calm down, let me get myself together, and you're still going to get a whooping. And I never understood what she meant, but as you get older, you understand, yes, you always want to make sure, what is my current vibrational state? I don't want to do anything out of the wrong pretenses. Yes, the whooping was a corrective thing to correct me for the wrong that I have done, to let me know that this is the punishment for when you do things that are wrong, so that you don't do them anymore, and that you do the correct things or you don't do things that are wrong. This is the punishment. This is the reaction, the outcome of what I do. But now, when you look at it from your perspective, yes, you're upset, you're angry. Instead of going on your first impulse, you got to ask yourself, what is my vibrational state? Let me get in a good space first. Let me get my head clear. Let me get my mind right. And then let me figure out how I want to handle this situation. If you're vibrating from scarcity, anger, exhaustion, sadness, adjust your energy and then decide. adjust the energy, adjust, before I make a decision, let me check my vibrational state. Let me see where I am, because I don't want to make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling. My father used to tell me this all the time. He says, one night of pleasure can be a lifetime of pain. One night. One night of pleasure can be a lifetime of pain. Why? Because you made a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. You always want to check that vibrational state, because I want to make sure that when I make the decision that I'm making, I want to make sure that I'm making it with a clear head, with all the information, that I've elevated my level of consciousness, and then I've understood that there's so many different ways of how this situation could be handled that will be very will put me in a victorious place where I have been given justice out of this situation. No matter what the situation is, I always believe that there's more than one way of how to handle this. There's got to be more than one way of how we can handle situations and circumstances based on our vibrational states. And a lot of us, it takes reprogramming, because a lot of us, we've been operating over our emotions so long, it's not going to be hard, it's not going to be impossible, but there's going to be some work that needs to be put in, because for all these years, you've been allowing your emotions to get the best of you. You've been going off your emotions. And then you come back and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that to you. My emotions got the best of me. I know I went overboard. I went all the way crazy. I do apologize. But how many times are you going to keep apologizing? Now, according to what we believe here, apology is not by words. Apology is changed behavior. So you can't keep coming back and apologizing for letting your emotions get the best of you. The apology is presented by you changing that behavior. I believe that when you feel it, you heal it, then decide it. Feel it, heal it, then decide it. Don't become your feelings, witness them. And what I mean by that is, you would say something like this: I am experiencing anger right now. I'm angry right now. I am not anger itself. You understand what I'm saying? A person says, I'm mad, I'm angry right now, I'm experiencing anger right now, but I am not anger itself. I am not anger. I have not become anger. Even though I'm experiencing anger, as far as I feel angry, and I am angry because I feel it, I feel anger, I am not anger. And when you learn how to move out of that, because what happens is a lot of times we become our emotions. If I'm feeling angry, then you say, I am angry. I am anger. And you will begin to respond in an anger way. So we have to be able to master our feelings without suppression. When you shift your state vibrationally, it allows you to make the best decisions. It allows you to engage in the best decision making when you shift your state vibrationally, when you learn how to shift your state. You know what? I'm upset, I'm angry. I'm driving and somebody swerved in front of me and they didn't even care. They could have ran me off the cliff. They could have hit my car. I got my kids in the back, and instead of you getting angry with road rage, you have to say to yourself, okay, I'm safe. Nobody hit the car. We're okay. Even though I'm experiencing anger, I am not anger. So I'm not going to get out the car. I'm not going to drive next to the car, roll down the window, curse the person out, roll rage, give them the finger, all that kind of stuff. Because now if that person pulls out the guns and shoots me, then I've made a permanent decision based on the temporary feeling. And I can't allow that. When you look back over your life, you got to look back how many mistakes we made, how many situations could have been avoided because we allowed our emotions to get the best of us. How many of us have lost money, lost loved ones? There are relationships now that are estranged because of something we did, allowing our emotions to get the best of us. And so I believe that in order for us to be the best version of ourselves, we have to be able to control our emotions. We got to be able to control our emotions. It brings us to that place of understanding, yes, I get upset, I get angry, but I am not anger. I am not mad. I'm experiencing a feeling of being mad. I'm experiencing a spirit of, or I'm experiencing a feeling of being lonely, of being being afraid. And so when you learn how to control those feelings, and that's what I want us to understand here too. A lot of us don't think that we can control our feelings. We think our feelings control us, and that's wrong. You have to be able to control your feelings. Because if you can't control your feelings, then you're going to allow those unprocessed emotions, they are going to take you on the railroad, on that railroad ride all the time, that reckless railroad all the time, because you don't have any control. And as soon as something goes wrong, you snap, you jump, you run, you go off the ends, and you can't allow that to happen. We got to be able to move better than that. We got to be able to operate better than that. If we're going to be the greatest manifestors, if we're going to change our lives, if we're going to do the things that we've always wanted to do, we have to put ourselves in a better position. Think about how many people are in prison because they didn't know how to control their emotions. How many people are who have died because they couldn't control their emotions. And I think that one of the greatest things too is learning who you are, being able to discover who you are. And what I mean by that is everybody who's listening to me, you know what your emotional vibrational state is. You know what your triggers are. You know what gets you upset. You know what gets you very emotional. Everybody has that one thing that gets to them, that one thing that gets them at an emotional level. And whatever that one thing is, that's the thing that you have to learn how to control. And I would ask you would ask yourself the feeling. You got to ask the feelings. Talk to them. What are you trying to teach me when I find myself getting emotional and I'm getting into a place where I would normally allow my emotions to get the best of me? I would say, what are you trying to teach me? Are you asking me to protect myself or evolve? Are you showing me a real threat or just an old wound? Questions you would ask your feelings. Every emotion carries information. Extract the wisdom and discard the distortion. Every emotion carries information. Extract the wisdom, discard the distortion. I got to be able to take that wisdom out of everything. When something gets you riled up, you got to say to yourself, okay, before I react, let me figure out what's going on. Why is this getting me so emotional? Why is this getting me upset? A lot of times when you do this, you realize the things that really get you emotionally upset is really over nothing. When you realize and see yourself really getting upset, really allowing your emotions to get the best of you, when you really dissect this and really start to ask these questions and really look at what's going on before you act on it, before you make those permanent decisions, you realize, wait a minute, I was getting ready to lose all of this or getting ready to put myself in a position over something of what somebody said that could or could not be true, over something that somebody told me that I heard, or something that has nothing to do with me. So you have to be very mindful sometimes of the things that we allow ourselves to get emotional over. As you evolve and grow into the person, the best version of the best version of yourself, you want to learn how to move from emotion to evolution. Listen, every one of us are evolving. Every one of us are evolving. What you did in May of 2024, you have evolved. You're not the same person you are in May of 2025. You have evolved. We have to move from emotion to evolution. Sometimes when we look at dealing with major life decisions, we have to learn how to create sacred space when we're making major life decisions. You know, we can't just up and leave one state because we were in this relationship and me and this person broke up and we're not in love anymore and I don't want to be here anymore in this state. I don't want to be in the same state with this person anymore because they lied on me, they betrayed me, they hurt me. So now you go to another state and guess what? You magnetize the same person that you just left and the same thing happens again. They break your heart, they betray you. You're making permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. You haven't learned how to go within and make the changes. The changes happen within us. That's how you overcome this. You go within and you begin to change your emotional dynamic. I no longer allow my emotions to take control or have control over me. I now have control over my emotions. Now, there's so many ways I can go with this, but I'm really trying to stay on topic here. But what I want to say is this. When you learn how to take control of your emotions, it's one of the most powerful things you can do because once again, your feelings build momentum. They send out energetic invitations. The more you build on those energetic invitations, there's for every cause there's an effect. So the vibrational and the vibrational equilateral is coming to that. So yes, if you have a low level emotional the low level emotional experience, you're going to get that outcome. But if I now have control over my feelings and I'm sending out positive prosperity manifestation, I'm sending out all these great energetic invitations, and that emotional energetic momentum is building, I will now see it in my physical reality because I understand that I have control over my emotions. But like I said, for major life decisions, create a sacred space. 24 hours for emotional turbulence. And you should take 72 hours for high stakes choices. Give your soul time to speak after your emotions calm down. So what I'm saying is when you have an emotional situation that's going on, I would give yourself 24 hours to kind of get yourself in a calm position to kind of really think about what's going on and really what's happening. When we talk about major stakes choices, anything that has to do with maybe moving, maybe having to do with like surgeries, any high stakes stuff, right? Relocating or anything like that, you want to give yourself at least 72 hours to not let your emotions, to realize that I'm taking control of my emotions, but that I'm not making this permanent decision based on the temporary feeling, because I feel like this today and then tomorrow I feel a different way. How many times have women and men who are in relationships with each other have an argument and we're not talking to each other, but now you've told your boyfriend or your girlfriend the relationship is over, you're mad, you don't want to have anything to do with them ever again, but then 12 hours later, now you miss them, and now you want to talk to them, and now you want to be back with them again, but you made a permanent decision based on the temporary feeling of being mad at that moment. So we have to be mindful of how we operate in these emotions that we have. I believe that before any permanent decision can be made, you ought to ask a certain series of questions to yourself. Is this decision rooted in love or fear? Does this align with my highest purpose? Would I still choose this if I felt differently tomorrow? I think these are the questions that you should ask. If if I'm in an emotional situation and I'm getting ready to make a permanent decision, I'm going to move in with this person. I'm going to relocate. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to any high stakes permanent decision I'm going to make. Is this decision rooted in love or fear? I don't want to make decisions out of fear because I'm afraid, because I'm running, because I need cover and shelter. I don't want to make those kind of decisions. Does this align with my highest purpose? Is this going to benefit me? Is this going to benefit me in the long run? Is this going to be beneficial to me, to elevate me, to push me to the next level? And would I choose this same situation, this permanent decision that I'm about to make, if I felt differently tomorrow? Meaning that I feel good, I feel confident, I feel complete. But let's say tomorrow is a bad day. Tomorrow's not a good day for me, and I feel bad. I'm not feeling so good. Things are not going my way, and I'm having a bad day. Would I still make the same decision? These are the questions that you got to ask yourself. These are the questions that you got to ask. You got to ask yourself the tough questions. Use your values as your North Star. Moods are temporary. Everybody has a mood. You get in your certain moods. Moods are temporary. Your values are eternal. Anything that's eternal is intangible, which means that it's always going to be there. It's intangible. Only the things that are physical are the things that can be destroyed and taken and broken and taken away. But anything that's eternal, it's eternal, which means it lasts forever. So my moods are temporary. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I want to go out and have a good time. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. Sometimes I just want to stay home. So everybody has moods. We all have our certain moods that we have. Our moods are temporary. But remember, use your values as your North Star. Make decisions based on your personal constitution, not your emotional constitution. Based on your personal constitution, not on your emotional constitution. Consult the future you. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Visualize yourself healed. Visualize yourself being wiser. Visualize yourself being successful. And you would say to yourself like this: would future me thank me for this decision? You got to ask yourself that question. Would future me thank me for this decision? If not, wait, recalibrate, and align yourself. Would the future me thank myself about making this decision? And I think when you do that, you come into a point where you understand that you're making this decision not based off of temporary feelings. That's why one of the questions we ask is, if I felt differently tomorrow, would I still make the same decision? Which means that I'm not making this decision off of my temporary or my lackluster moods or feelings. I'm making this decision based on my purpose, based on where I'm going in life, based on what I feel is going to put me in a better position and allow me to become the best version of myself. I'm not going to allow myself to be overtaken by my emotions. How many of us have missed opportunities because we were supposed to get connected to somebody, but somebody told us that person didn't like us, or that person said something about us, and so we said, oh, well, I'm not going to talk to that person anymore. I'm not going to connect with that person anymore. And it could have never even happened that way. And so based on our emotions, we ended up missing a great opportunity that could have changed the trajectory of our lives. Emotions. We make personal decisions on temporary feelings. And so I think that it's imperative that we look into this and really deal with this. When you master your emotions, you stop self-sabotaging yourself. You become a conscious creator, not a chaotic reactor. You don't want to be a chaotic reactor. You want to be a conscious creator. I want to react chaotically. And so when you become a master of your emotions, you get out of the chaotic reacting of every time something happens, I just allow my emotions to get the best of me and I just jump off. And so we have to come into an understanding that when we master our emotions, we live by our inner vision, not by our outer volatility. We live by the inner vision. That's why, if any of you have been following us here at the Temple of Enlightenment, you understand that's why we preach and teach longevity. We don't live for tomorrow, or we don't live for today. We live for tomorrow. We live for next week. We live for 20 years from now, for 100 years from now. We speak legacy. I've watched yesterday, this past weekend, last weekend, I've watched the great Bishop T.D. Jakes make a decision to step down as the pastor of the Potter's House and turn it over to his daughter and his son-in-law. But I can guarantee you he didn't make that permanent decision on a temporary feeling. That decision came with long thought, long processes of thought. It came with, how would I feel on Monday after I made the decision? Well, I still made the decision. It comes with, when my future self thanked me for turning it over. All the questions that we just talked about, those are the questions that I'm pretty sure, if not more, have went through his head. So when he made that decision, he didn't make that permanent decision on a temporary feeling. And so that's what makes this so imperative that we learn. You will learn to respect every emotion without enslaving yourself to it. Yes, you can respect the emotion. Something happens that triggers your emotion. Yes, you respect it, but you don't become enslaved to it. You don't become, you don't allow it to master you. You now understand that you will always master it. And so you understand that because feelings are passengers, they are passengers, but wisdom drives the car. Yes, my emotional feelings are passengers, but my wisdom is what drives the car. Don't let the passengers drive. You are the driver. Your wisdom drives the car. But when you allow your emotions to take the best of you, you now trade the virtues, and now you allow the passengers to take control, and now it becomes the reckless car. It becomes the reckless train ride because those emotions are unprocessed. You build a life so aligned, so powerful, and so stable that no storm, no betrayal, no setback can take it from you because you built it by faith, not by feelings. Yeah. See, anything you do with feelings, you got to be careful with because your feelings change. You don't marry for feelings. Oh, I'm marrying him because I love him. Oh, I'm marrying him because he makes me feel so good. Oh, I'm marrying her because she just makes me feel so wonderful. And then what happens when that person doesn't make you feel wonderful? What happens when they don't make you feel good? What happens when they make you mad? What happens when they make you sad? And so we can't make these permanent decisions based on those temporary feelings. And so now this person is married to somebody who they only married because of a temporary feeling. And now they've been married for 3 or 4 years. The marriage is chaotic. It's very toxic. It's nothing that you would have ever imagined, but you made that decision based on the temporary feeling, and now you have kids involved, all kind of stuff that's been involved when all of this could have been avoided. When you start moving into the power of mastering your emotions, I believe a lot of things begin to change. You start making stuff like, I am the master of my emotions, not their servant. You start talking like, I make decisions from clarity, not chaos. I breathe through every emotional wave. My destiny deserves decisions made in wisdom. I move from vision, not from volatility. I allow peace to guide my actions. I am emotionally intelligent, spiritually sovereign, and eternally victorious. And then, you know, when you learn not to make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings, these are some of the benefits. I want to just real quickly, you'll begin to get freedom. You become stronger. You get a deeper trust in your inner wisdom. You get a constant clarity of life decisions. You get a greater self-mastery in emotional well-being. You get permanent success built on stable foundations. Your ability to handle adversity with grace. You begin to live an authentic life, values on base values-based living, which means that you live on your values, not your emotions. You begin to move stress and emotional exhaustion out of your life. You get full ownership of your destiny. You get the freedom to evolve without emotional self-sabotage. So these are all the things that happen. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted you guys to hear this. I want somebody to walk away from today and say, you know what? I needed to hear this. There's so many times I've let my emotions get the best of me, and it really put me back in some situations that could have been avoided. Some circumstances, some situations. You can't beat yourself up over what happened in the past. But guess what you can do? You can know that going forward, I have the control over my destiny, and I have the control over my feelings. And I can say after today, going forward, I will never make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. Moving forward, I can assure myself that I can do make the necessary changes, become real focused, real aligned within myself to make that decision now, because I can't afford to do that anymore. I got too much riding. I got too much on the table here. I got too much invested in me. I'm on my way to my greater level of success. I'm manifesting things. I'm putting myself in a greater position. I cannot allow myself to make permanent decisions based on a temporary feeling. I can't do that anymore. And so now I'm in a place going forward from today. I've got to make this change. Ladies and gentlemen, I know everybody listening to me, you know somebody who needs to hear this. Go ahead and hit that share button and send them the link. Text it to them, email it to them. Let them know going forward, listen, you let your emotions get the best of you. You're a hothead. You always jump off the roof. You always jump off the gun. You gotta relax. You gotta change, because you'll end up in jail. You'll end up in a whole situation that you don't need to be in because you allowed your emotions to get the best of you. And I don't want to see that happen. I want each one of us to become the best versions of ourselves. And so in order to do that, we've got to put ourselves in a better position. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in. Please, if you haven't done so, please hit the like button. It helps us so much. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe. And if this is your first time listening in, please let us know what city, what state you're listening in from, what country. We want to welcome you. We want you to join and become a part of our family. We want you to join our community. Also, we ask if you want to be a blessing to this organization, if you want to be a blessing and you want to donate, you want to sow a seed into this ministry, into this great organization, we ask that there's 4 ways that you can give. We call it the circulatory section when we deal with things that happen. We believe that when you understand the circulatory aspect of things, that things will always go out and come back to its original point of origin. And so we believe that those of you that are sowing, those of you that are donating, whatever it is, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, the $26, whatever it is that you want to give, we are forever grateful for your donations. We are forever grateful because it helps us. It allows us to become more visible. It gives us the outreach to allow people to hear this message that you heard today. Somebody's life has changed because of what they heard today. Somebody's not going to jail because of what they heard today. We actually probably saved somebody's life today because of what they heard. Now they won't they won't allow their emotions to get the best of them. They won't get on that reckless railroad of unprocessed feelings because they heard this message today. And so your donation helps. Your offering, your belief in us, your donations help us. And so in this circulatory aspect of our service, we want to thank all of you that want to donate. There's 4 ways that you can give. The ways to give are also in the bottom of the description of this page on YouTube. You can click on it as well. If you want to get a consultation with me about your destiny, about your life, about what's going on, you can do so as well. And I want to thank all of you for being. The first way you can give is going to be our Cash App, which is going to be $TOESC. Once again, that's $TOESC. The second way you can give is going to be our Zelle and PayPal, and both of those are going to be connected to our email address, which is info, INFO, at TOESC.org. Once again, that's INFO at TOESC.org. And then also we have Venmo. Those of you that want to use Venmo, our Venmo is connected to our email address, which is Issachar Bey at gmail.com. That's ISSACHARBEY at gmail.com. Those of you that want to be a blessing, those of you that want to help us out and we continue to sow into this ministry, to this organization, I want to tell you thank you. We greatly appreciate all your donations, and we want to say thank you. I also want to thank all of you for your constant support, your consistency every week, continuing to listen to us. We are forever grateful. And I like to say this one thing: your destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.